I've given this question in countless universities in Europe, in US, Canada, Harvard, the best universities, and not a single person was able to give me an answer. What is the trait that an animal has, let's say a cow or a pig, that we don't have, that if you were to take from them and apply to a human, it would be fine to do the same thing to a human? So I've been inside many farms. Pigs scream in a way
it's
that
a horrible
stays
sound, man.
in your head for years, you know. Until now, when I hear a child screaming from far, I immediately remember how pigs scream because they're so similar in the way that they scream. Attacking and shaming can help. On the bigger scale, it does not. So everything has its place, but not with everyone.
What do you think is the best argument against veganism?
The first time I went vegan,
I don't think he likes me. I don't know why.
Isn't he gonna edit this?
No.
Oh.
My edit.
It starts with I don't think he likes me.
My editor is recording it.
Okay.
But he also doesn't like me.
The whole thing moved. Oh my god.
Seb, it is such an honor to have you here. We already had a very fun podcast, it felt like. If it would have been recorded, it would have been
that's why I said we should have met before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most likely. I also had to, in case you're wondering, yes, my shirt is supposed to be the other way around, but I'm trying to cover it. Wait, I'll show you. Seb, you have to explain what happened.
Oh, it looks so bad.
Okay.
We finished breakfast or lunch, and he took his last sip of coffee, and I just saw the coffee keep on dropping on his t-shirts.
On a white shirt. So that you guys don't see it, I just I was a resourceful entrepreneur and I turned it around.
Yes.
Yeah. Humor is important these days. We were already laughing so much, and I was hoping we would, because in today's episode we'll be probably also talking about some harder things.
Mm-hmm.
And you started our breakfast date with a story from this guy who is in Lebanon right now.
Yes.
Feeding animals. Can you share with all of us what is happening?
Sure. Yeah. So I met Qasim last year. He's from the south of Lebanon, a town called Shakra. Shakra is around 1.5 to 2 kilometers from the borders. So needless to say, severe destruction everywhere. The town is completely evacuated. There's no one there. And then there you have Qasim Haidar. So what he does is he stays behind. Not the first time he does this. He started in the last war in 2024. He stays behind, and what he does is whenever there's an airstrike, he goes and looks if there's any animals that were injured or that are nearby. And other than that, he just keeps on driving around from town to town in different areas all by himself with a bunch of food for the animals. And then in every single town he gets there, and you see the dogs and cats coming from all around because they know their like person who takes care of them is there now, which is him. Sometimes the bombing is so bad that he has to hold the bag out of the window of the car and slowly drive and just let the food drop because he knows the animals will come and eat anyway. But unfortunately, his whole house got destroyed. That was the last update I got this morning. But yeah, very courageous man. And there are several people like him doing this kind of work in Lebanon. So he's one of the few ones on the front lines, so close and in the middle of everything, basically. Yeah.
What was his name?
His
you
name
said
is
a couple times, but
Qasim. That's Kassem.
Qasim.
Qasim, yes.
Sweet. We'll put, obviously, while you were speaking, everybody watching will see a couple clips, because I saw them and was like, what a legend.
Yeah.
And I also, when I heard him talking, even though it's such a heavy topic, I felt somewhat optimism.
Yeah.
And those are my favorite people who, like, fuck, I've seen so much darkness in my life, and when I was going through cancer treatment, I needed people who would make jokes with me. Like, otherwise I cannot. It's so important to to keep optimism up,
Yeah.
and also when shit hits the fan, I think
Yeah.
it's really helpful. Like my
Yeah.
brother and I, we were like, I was almost dying, and I would crank jokes, you know, like I was 60 kilograms,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, she was kind of hot. You know, we start laughing at my.
Yeah.
I think it's really,
You need humor.
yeah. You need
Yeah.
humor. Humor is so important. But maybe before we get there, can we get a little bit of context about you? You mentioned also earlier to me that you're filming a documentary, but for those of you who are not familiar with your work, who are you?
What are you doing here?
I also love how fast we transition from funny light topic.
Yes.
They're like boom.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is
Well,
also
yeah, actually, just a bit to comment on that again. In Lebanon, humor is the first, almost always the first thing that we use in any extremely horrible situation, because it's a coping mechanism as well.
Yeah.
So completely fine in my usual day-to-day life to see humor and horrible things mixed together. But yeah, I'm from Lebanon. I'm born and raised there. For those of you who don't know, just open the TV and you'll see where it is nowadays. I was born and raised there. I moved out when I was beginning of my 20s. And yeah, I initially started caring about animals from a very young age. My cousin had a beautiful German Shepherd, and I don't know, I just liked hanging out with him so much and playing with him.
With
And
your
then
cousin or the German Shepherd?
No, the German
Okay, so
Shepherd. Yeah.
you can't stand your cousin, right?
And eventually, of course, I started asking for my parents to get us a dog, and my parents were very strict. Like, we live in a very small apartment. There were 4 siblings, and my parents, that's 6 people, 2 bedrooms. We don't have a place for any animal. And then we tried several times, never worked. And then one day my brother showed up at home with a little kitten, and he was like, oh, look, I found him on the street, and my mom was like, fine, we can keep him on one condition, and that's that we name him after my childhood cat. And my brother was like, yeah, sure. And then I got really angry because I really preferred dogs over cats. And I thought, well, if we're going to break the golden rule, then let's get a dog,
Yeah.
But I always tell this story. Things turned out for the well because the cat really identified as a dog more often than a cat. He used to run to the door whenever we got home. I'd pick him up. He'd give me kisses. If I told him to stop, he would stop. If I would ask him to sit, he would sit. He would fetch. He knew, he would basically acted like a dog. And well, one day my mom wanted to do an operation to remove his claws because he was destroying the furniture. And I made a huge mess out of it. I was like, impossible. This is animal abuse. You can't do that. And my mom wasn't listening to me. And so I made a Facebook group against my mom. And I invited all my friends because the cat, he was famous. Like, he had his own Facebook profile. He has like if he has 100 friends, 95 are mutual friends with me. I don't know who the others are. So obviously, like, all my friends knew about him. So I invited them all, and they would write what they think about my mom's decision. And because we lived in a small flat, I would read the comments out loud at home on the computer. And my mom got so pissed one day. She was like, fine, I won't do it. And then one of my friends said, Seb, like, I appreciate what you did for your cat, but you gotta face the truth. It's you're a hypocrite. I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's not nice. She's like, well, you're eating other animals. You sometimes go hunting. Like, how do you like, you're not an animal lover. You just love your cat. So we had a massive argument. She was vegetarian. She asked me to watch a 10-minute video called Meet Your Meat, I believe it was called. And I watched that and I thought I should really find a good argument now. And I couldn't. So at the time I went vegetarian. Stayed vegetarian for 8 years, and then I learned more about the other industries, and then I went vegan. And yeah, long story short, we can get into the details, but I now dedicate my time to raise awareness about animal rights and advocate for animal rights.
Please find the Facebook link. Is it
Okay.
a Facebook group? Okay,
Yeah.
find it and put it in the description below, because I also want to join. very curious about the cat now. And
He's passed away
I,
now.
he passed away.
Yeah, and this was 20 years ago.
I mean,
I wish he was still around, but
maybe, I don't know, your cat watched some Brian Johnson videos and reversed his biological age. Rest in peace. What was his name?
Chichik,
Chichik?
Chichik, yeah.
Wow, Chichik. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Lived a long life.
15 or 16.
Fuck.
Really interesting. At one point, he left the house. You know, they do that when they're gonna die.
Really?
And then 3 days later, he just came back. He's like, no, I'm sticking around for another year. Yeah, because when they have the option, they prefer not to die where they live.
Oh, that's very smart.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then he just changed his mind. Not
How
today.
possible?
Possible.
Okay. I see. All right, you watched the video Meet Your Meat, and that started your whole journey. I mean, that's also how I met you and
Yes.
became. I mean, not that I became aware. I was aware already before, but right. I think we have to go there. We have to talk about it. And I would like to hear how it is for you, because I noticed there was this boom about animal rights and veganism. I think, like, especially during the pandemic,
Yeah.
right before the pandemic, there
before, yeah.
was the game changers. There were, like, it was trendy.
Yeah.
And now there is a bit of a decline. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say over the entire world. There might, I know there is a decline in Germany in terms of, you know, the people. I don't know who they ask, but you know, there are like certain statistics, and it seems like the number of vegans are declining in Germany. I don't know how it is in other countries. I can tell you how it is in my friend circle and like people that I know. It's massively dropping. I see a lot of my favorite restaurants just closing
down.
Here in Bali, Mangi's closed, and my heart was broken because, like, you know, you just leave for 5 months, you come back and like, this is closed, this is closed, this is closed. So there seems to be a decline. How are you?
Yeah, so I've talked about this with a few people, and one person from the application called A Billion, which is similar to Happy Cow. They donate to sanctuaries as well, and you can use the application to like sell secondhand stuff. So they are heavily involved with the food and beverages industry because they don't work only in the vegan circle. So we talked about this topic, and he's not the only person who told me this. He said restaurants are struggling everywhere. You just hear about the vegan ones because you're vegan and you care about the vegan ones. But ever since the pandemic, people are struggling everywhere. So yes, vegan restaurants are closing down, but if you compare overall, businesses are struggling, and a lot of non-vegan restaurants are also closing down. Now, it doesn't mean that there hasn't been some kind of shift in the type of interest that there was pre-pandemic, but I also don't necessarily think that's indicative of anything. And the reason why I say that is because a movement's value and success is not measured by how many people are making a lot of profit from it. So yeah, profit can decline, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And you can think about, well, it may mean that consumers are not that interested in this, and there can be some truth in that, but we have to take a bigger look at the entire world. When we see numbers going down in the US, in Canada, in some European countries, we see the opposite happening in the Middle East and Africa. And so the same thing is happening when it comes to cutting meat, cutting dairy products. Even the use and the market of plant-based alternatives, it's growing much faster in the Middle East and Africa than it is in the US. But we do usually have a more Western-centric view of the things that we're dealing with, which makes sense if you do come from these countries. But these countries don't represent the world, right?
True. Good point.
So
how's it in your friend circle, like in your bubble?
I've seen some people change their diets. I help people when they are having some struggles.
Mm,
I think if someone is interested enough in not harming animals, then they would take the right steps, especially if they have seen what these animals go through,
mm,
right? That's a very important thing because we tend to start thinking about ourselves. So you can have a health issue and think, how can I fix this so that I continue my current diet in a healthy way? Or you can think, well, this is not working, I'm going to switch.
mm,
Well, the difference between the two is that one of them, you're taking time to wonder, hey, can I fix this while not going back to harming animals?
mm,
And we really need to remember that part. I have one friend who stopped, but he's still very much, um, let's say, pro animal rights.
mm,
He struggled a lot socially. That's it. He literally didn't know a single vegan in his circle, and he always felt left out. I'm not saying it justified what he's doing,
mm,
but when we talked, he said, I don't want you to think that I now like I'm against veganism or something,
mm,
right? And I only know of one other person who's like this, who also changed, and that person says, I'm being lazy. And so therefore I don't talk about the fact that I've changed because I don't want people to use me as an example of, oh, look, veganism is failing. He also stopped,
mm,
So yeah, we've seen some changes, but those changes are very specific to specific areas around the world. It would be as weird as saying, let's say, veganism is dropping in China while it's growing in the West, and then
mm,
claim veganism is no longer trending
mm,
in all of the world, right? So different areas of the world have different numbers. In some places going up, some places going down. I think the most important thing is that we shouldn't give up a whole stance against exploitation and suffering
mm.
just because we're seeing a bit of drop
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and
No, I'm not saying that. I was just it's just an observation that I make. I'm familiar with the numbers in
yeah.
Germany,
Mm.
but you are completely right. That's not a fair thing to then say that that's the case in the whole world. And I just see in my friend circle and like in the
Yeah,
bubble when we do meetups and
yeah.
stuff. Also from my community, a lot of people who used to be vegan.
Mhm.
I have a good friend of mine. He called. Can I do this? Oh fuck it. He differentiates between being vegan and then there's he categorizes them as anal vegan. And what he means when he says anal vegan, when someone is incredibly judgmental
Okay.
and makes a fuss about that like everything in their life is around that topic
Yeah.
and they cannot speak about something else
Mhm.
than that. And and that is just my own subjective point of view, or like how I deal with it. We had a conversation about that. I'm like, maybe we need to find a different word than anal vegan,
Yeah.
but it makes me laugh, so whatever you want to use. I find it hard to personally relate to this. Like if I go to have a dinner with my friends and there is someone having this judgmental point of view, it's hard for me to,
Yeah.
as someone who has this, like I have the same values,
Mhm.
but I think, and that's a discussion. I'm curious to see. You've done a lot of like animal rights work, and you're an activist. I'm not an activist. What I noticed though is that this approach of being very, what's the right word, pushy,
Mhm.
is not resonating, I think, with for sure not for everyone, but
Yeah.
does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I know what
I almost feel like I'm just gonna say it how I feel, like almost like I don't want to belong there.
Okay.
I think it should be less judgmental,
Mhm.
and I think it should be more welcoming, and it should be more also. I think it's psychologically intelligent to be empathetic towards animals,
Yeah.
100%, but also towards human beings. And you need to look at where's the person in their journey. And fuck, if my father, who grew up with, 3 times eating meat per day, and now all of a sudden it's only 2 times and he's eating 1 salad, I'm not going you could now say, well, 2 times per day, he's just still doing that. Yes, I see. But I think it's more powerful to say, wow, amazing that you are doing this. Is your health improving? Oh, yeah, all of a sudden I poop more regularly,
Yes.
And do you see?
I know what you
So
mean.
I felt like sometimes I don't even say like I'm vegan. Because automatically also when I go to a group, they put me into this box
Yeah.
where I don't want to be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. It makes sense.
What are your thoughts when
I want to start with a small point. You did say you're an activist. I'm not. I want to break down that point. I completely disagree.
Oh, okay.
So I don't like not that I don't like. I think it's better that we all realize activism is more than one thing, right? Okay, let's say I'm an activist, but you holding this space now on your podcast,
Yeah.
that's activism.
Yeah.
You're bringing a certain message. Someone, like, not everyone has to do like street activism or other types of activism that is usually seen as activism in order to be an activist. You can be a politician and be an activist by passing laws behind closed doors, and that will help animals. You can be a chef providing amazing food. You can be a businessman. You can be a writer. There's so many ways of being an activist that I think sometimes thinking that activism means one specific thing stops other people from looking into how they can be active. So I always tell people, like, don't, like, if you like what an activist does, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you have to do if they're effective. If you can and if you think there's value, go ahead and do it. But you should also check into what you can offer to this movement, and that can be many things. So I just wanted to touch on that quickly. And then to the point of, being, let's say, pushy or judgmental or let's say extremist or hardcore, I think different types of messages work for different people. Some people need the shaming, like my friend straight up telling me, you're a hypocrite, you're not an animal lover. Most people do not react well to that. I did, I mean, I did still have an argument, but I knew she made sense. I didn't like being called a hypocrite. That doesn't mean that I believe everyone should be told, you're not an animal lover, you're a hypocrite. I think the person, the vegan, let's say, should be socially intelligent enough to judge the circle they're in and then see what is the best way to approach each person about where they are. So I know with some people, some of my friends, that's the kind of conversation I would have, like really in your face. I would never do that with everyone, though, because not everyone reacts the same way. Shame works for some people and it does wonders for some people, but for many others, it's the last thing you want to do, because then you're going to push them away. And I would kind of encourage you, not necessarily like to show up and say that I'm vegan, but not be afraid of like being called a vegan, because you are very different from the people you just talked about, and people seeing that in you will change their mind of what a vegan is.
Yeah. I was thinking about that a lot, and I have a lot of friends. We talk about those kind of things like all the time. For me personally, I have decided to say I'm gonna promote the values I stand behind, and do what I think, in my perspective, this whole movement should be about, which is becoming better human beings, and becoming better human beings for me means to be more empathetic towards animals and do the best thing we can do to improve the quality of their lives and how we treat them. And that's why I started the whole thing, not for a label or something.
That's completely fair.
And also with my brand, my social media and everything, I wanna that's my approach. I
Like,
like it.
yeah,
Like it
that's
feels good to me, and I love hearing the messages from people who say like, hey, I started eating more whole foods now. For some people, they've never eaten, they don't even know what hummus is. Like, like it's the first time. I think there's some people in their entire life that have never had an avocado or like a sweet potato or something like
yeah,
this. Most Americans, and my follower base is mostly American, they don't even manage to get 30 grams of fiber
yeah.
per day. I have a hard time not to get that with a single meal. Like the meal we just had, I had probably
That
like
was
30 grams of fiber.
easily.
And so I was like, hey, I wanna have a massive impact.
Yeah,
And I know if the average person substitutes one heavily animal-based meal with
with
more plants, it's going to do good for their health, and it's going to help animals.
yeah,
So that's my approach. I also don't disrespect
yeah,
anybody else who has a different approach.
yeah.
What I don't know if it's a German thing. I'm seeing it sometimes with one eye, and I kind of don't want to see it, but there is almost like a war in between activists. Or there was this specific post. It was a German person making a post about vegan influencers in Germany and criticizing them for not being more shamey. Is that a
Like
word?
a straightforward.
No, yeah, way too
Yeah,
soft and this and that. And that is exactly why I don't want to like.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
what are we doing here?
And
Well,
especially making a public post when you can send a private message and say, like, if that's what that person believes, let's say that's what I believe,
yeah.
okay? There's a difference between me making a public post and calling you out for not being like that, or me sending you a private message and say, hey, Axel, I have a feeling what I'm doing works better. Let's have a chat about it, because maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Regardless of who's right
Mm,
or wrong, if we find out whatever is better, that's better for the animals. In my personal experience, anyone who goes to public post and shaming straight away are not worth your time for an actual conversation,
mm,
because they could have just kept it as a private conversation to make the movement better, to have healthy relationships and conversations. But yeah, I don't really identify with that kind of approach of just straight up calling out people left and right. I mean, I like leading by example. If I do think something I'm doing is better than others, I would rather just reach out to them privately and say,
mm.
like, hey, I think this works for this reason, and then cite a few either examples or studies. There's a lot of like studies based on how people react to,
Yeah,
let's say, shame,
yeah.
what makes them change their attitudes. For example, there was one survey that was given out on animal sentience, so how much pain animals feel in general, and respondents were given a small snack when they were filling out the survey. One group was given nuts and seeds and things like that, like cashews and peanuts. The other one was given bacon bits, so small pieces of bacon. And the group that was filling up the survey while eating nuts and seeds, so technically plant-based, were more objectively factual on how much pain animals feel.
Mm,
Whereas the group that was eating bacon was leaning more towards less animal sentience, because they are literally consuming an animal's body parts while they're filling up the survey. So human psychology is very like complicated when it comes to
mm.
these things. I think it's very important for animal rights activists to do some reading on human psychology. There's a lot of books out there, there's a lot of studies out there
Yeah,
to understand what makes people change.
yeah.
And we do know for a fact that even though in some places attacking and shaming can help, on the bigger scale, it does not, you know? So everything has its place, but not with everyone.
Mm,
Um,
that's true.
and yeah, sorry, go ahead.
How do you deal with? I'm sure you get messages like this, or maybe you even had people in your friend circle
Mm.
who are. You mentioned this one friend. I don't know if you said a name, but I don't think the name is important. It's a representation of people who are trying a plant-based
Mm.
diet or a vegan diet. By the way, there's a difference between that. It's like my favorite conversation. A a plant-based diet and a vegan diet. So that person wants to eat exclusively plants, but has health issues,
Yeah.
and now starts to implement animal products like eggs. Some people do fish, and feels better.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Like, if I think about how it must be, I know this one animal activist. She was really struggling with her health, and so she started changing her diet. And there must be a big dilemma in your you know, in your
Yeah.
in your head. What is your
Yeah.
point of view? Should you tell them, well, then be vegan except of the eggs that you're
Yeah.
eating? What is I saw your video about the I don't know if you remember. She's like, I was something about I'm vegan except
I eat eggs.
no, yeah, something
Yeah,
around that. It
yeah.
was funny. I saw it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I know which video you're talking about. Um, I would personally never advocate for eating any animal products. But I have seen countless people have health issues, and a vast majority of them are very simple fixes of, to begin with, eat enough calories. We have to remember that a lot of people get into plant-based diets to lose weight, and then they kind of stick to a certain calorie deficit for long periods of time and then develop deficiencies, which is something you get on most diets. But I'm not completely invalidating that there are some people who were eating, let's say, enough calories or healthy diets, but still have deficiencies. But I have seen the ones who went to a vegan nutritionist, a specified vegan nutritionist, actually solve the issue, and the ones who didn't ended up solving it by reintroducing animal products. So to this day, we don't really know a specific, let's say, health issue that you can have as a result of having a healthy, well-balanced vegan meal. This just doesn't exist. And so what I say is, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a, well, actually, doctors don't know anything about nutrition,
Nutrition,
so I'm
yeah.
not going to say doctor. But I always encourage people to see a nutritionist who is very well knowledge on plant-based diets. And the reason I say that is because I have personally had arguments with doctors and nutritionists about my diet, and they ended up being wrong every single time. One of them was in December. I was at the hospital. I decided to get this massive package that does like countless tests on your body to see all your levels for everything. One of the tests, I don't have any issues, by the way. I just was wondering. One of the tests was a bone density test. And before I do it, they gave me an application form to fill up. And the application form had a section on my diet that was only asking me the amount of times I eat eggs, consume milk, like cow milk, cheese, and butter. So very specifically eggs and dairy. And I was wondering, like, why are they asking only about dairy? I was like, is this because they think I need calcium to get dairy? So I gave them the paper. I didn't say I'm vegan or anything, but I put 0 on everything. I did the bone density test. They said your bones are like twice as like stronger than the average person, and it's like you're in the top, I don't know, 8 or 7% of the human population. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting, because did you see that I don't consume any dairy? And they were like, what? And they look at paper, they're like, what? Then how are your bones so strong? Where are you getting calcium from? And I was like, you're supposed to learn these things in school or university,
Yeah.
So that's why I say, and it's not their fault either if they haven't been given the information. I just want people, before they make the decision to going back to consuming animal products, please, if you care about your health and about the animals, go and see someone who knows nutrition really well. If after they do that, by some like extremely small chance of something, I don't know what that would be, but I'm just going to put this hypothetical out there, they realize that they have to eat one specific product every, I don't know how many months or years to stay alive, I'm not going to point fingers and shame, or tell them you can no longer help the animals because you're this, you're that. I would just move on and continue doing my work, because I know there's a lot of people who don't fall in that category. So the chances of developing an actual, let's say, health disease or deficiency on a very well planned plant-based diet are extremely low. And the numbers that we see of people saying they have that and the numbers that are like supposed to exist don't match. It's much higher. So I think most people just take the easy way out and go back to eating animals. Most, not all.
Yeah. I saw some cases like people that I knew or that I knew. Now I murdered them. No, they still exist. They are still alive. Okay, people I am friends with. And it's hard, man. It's really hard for them as well.
Yeah.
There were a couple who thought like they can't speak to me anymore. Like I wouldn't be friends with them. That is not how I see it. And I'm not friends with someone or not friends with someone because of their diet.
Yeah.
Because I also know I ate almost meat every day, maybe multiple times per day for over 20 years of my life. Yeah. And so, and I also know like you perhaps I don't know what it's like to be you right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And so I'm just trying to support, but fuck, like I see the pain.
Yeah.
And it is never easy for anybody. If I, for example, see someone and they are they say like, hey, I was plant-based, I had this issue, I started eating eggs, it's gone away. I'm like, okay, while you're figuring this out, then be plant-based, except and eat eggs. But because what I often notice is then they also start eating bacon and this
they go,
and everything. I'm like, wait a second, didn't you just tell me it's just
Yes,
it's just the eggs or just the fish or you know? Because I think, and I'm gonna challenge everybody in the vegan community. We always need to be. We can't be biased ever when it comes to health.
Yeah.
And fuck, human beings are. It's very individual. You know, there are certain things that are almost true for everybody, but even there are some exceptions where we don't even know what's going on. I think it's always I try to always have an open mind. I'm like, wait a second, we don't know for sure what's going on because it's just one individual.
Yeah.
With groups, you can make certain certain statements, but there's one individual, and let's support this one individual. And my point of view is then just do your very best, but be honest.
Yeah.
To yourself. Like that's just the most important thing. The feedback that I've gotten is also something that I've mentioned that I agree with, is this like, I don't want to be part of this because it's so pushy. And yeah, I think that was feedback that often came.
Yeah, I think what I do is, like, if I'm in Lebanon, for example, a few months ago, someone messaged me and she said, I'm having some issues, but I don't think I'm planning it well. Also, I'm planning to get pregnant and I'm kind of worried. What should I do? We have a vegan hospital in Lebanon, like a fully plant-based hospital. They don't serve any animal products to visitors or patients whatsoever. And it has a vegan nutritionist as well. So immediately I got the number of the nutritionist. I sent it to her. I was like, you go to the hospital, you visit the nutritionist and you ask all the questions and she'll help you out. I know one person who already gave birth to a very healthy baby who was fully vegan throughout the pregnancy, and the kid is vegan as well. So it's always better to, first of all, we shouldn't act like we have all the data ourselves. Like, I'm not a nutritionist. I know I've done a lot of research on it, but I'm not a nutritionist. So if someone is actually struggling, I'm like, here's a nutritionist who knows about plant-based diets, any deficiencies you might have, please go see her or him.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, I interviewed so many nutritionists, and I can tell you, nobody knows everything.
Oh yeah, that's the science is always like
yeah. So yeah, but I think it's still important to have this conversation. I also, on this podcast, I don't often have it, and I think it's just crucially important for everyone to
Yeah.
even if you hear the topic for the first time ever. I think what we can all agree on is probably eating more plants, more whole food,
Mm.
more of a whole food plant-based diet will be beneficial in almost every single case.
Oh yes, for sure.
So that
Yeah.
is like that is health advice I give people. Like that's what I hope this whole my brand is about, like for people to have fun with eating whole foods.
Yeah.
You know, like I want them to like almost see the rainbow and like appreciate all the colors, you know. And then as soon you start building this healthy relationship with foods that is like vibrant and beautiful, and then go into a supermarket and like see this beautiful section of like vegetables and stuff. You have green, you have orange, and all of this, and then just hop over to the meat section, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, what resonates a bit more? How do you feel after you ate a
Towards
meal?
that.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, just try it out. Let's see how you feel. And fuck, I just hope people feel inspired to eat
Yeah.
more plants.
Yeah.
And I don't think my father in this life will go vegan. You know,
Yeah.
or like this, but I know he's eating more plants now.
And
And
sometimes they stay like that and they don't change, but sometimes that's the slow transition that they're doing. And unfortunately, we can't just make everyone change overnight, right? We just have to accept it. I think what we were talking about with, like, let's say people completely rejecting someone who introduces some animal products in their diet, I think it comes from a place where they are convinced that the world will go vegan by individuals going vegan one by one, which is that's just never going to happen. You can't keep up with population growth in that way unless you have, like, I don't know how many millions of people converting every day, which is not something that's happening. The world will change when a vast majority of people agree on something, not necessarily when they act on the same way. For example, just want to give an example to make it more clear on what I mean. I have many friends who are not vegan, but I know if there was ever, let's say, a national vote on changing the food system to a plant-based food system, they would immediately vote for it. Those are the people we need. Would it be better if they were vegan? Yeah, of course, I prefer that. But I'm at a place where I'm like, we need everyone to be on the same, like, agreement, on the same side when it comes to this topic. Do other animals deserve basic moral rights? Do they deserve the right to have their life, to not be owned, to not be exploited, killed, and all of the things? If we get majority of people agreeing on this, then a massive shift starts happening already in consumer habits. That may lead to people voting on these issues, which was the case in Switzerland. They had a vote on whether or not slaughterhouses should be banned in Switzerland. And on that day, you don't need X amount of vegans. You need X amount of people who agree with you. So if someone changes their diet because of some health issue, regardless of whether or not it could have been solved, I asked vegans to not push them away, but, you know, keep them in your circle, make sure that they don't feel like, I don't want to mean abandoned in a way like they're the victim now, because unfortunately the victims are always the animals in this situation, but we need these people to be on the side of the animals for the future. I just come from an angle of, I'm going to get as many people as possible to agree with this point. Ideally, they'll also change their diet. But once they agree, I'm quite satisfied, which is not how I used to be many years ago. Many years ago, I used to continue all the way to try to get them to change their diet as well. And I still think that's very important. I just don't think that it's realistic that that's how we're going to achieve a better world, if that makes sense.
No, 100%
Yeah.
it does. And now that I'm also an activist, yeah, you know what? The reason why I said I'm not an activist is because I'm not that person being on the streets and
Because you think that's what activism is only.
yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
most people think
Yeah.
activism
And
is.
that's, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I'm just going to say that is probably one of the least effective ways of activism. We can get into that if you
On the
want. But I just
being on the street.
yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
mean that in a what's the word? Like, I don't mean that in a negative way. Like,
Yeah.
these people are useless. I don't think they're useless. I've done that, and I would still do that when I have the opportunity. But when it comes to that impact that you create,
Yeah.
there are many ways of activism, of which being on the street is on the lower side than other types of activism. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, it's important. I also, like, for a long time I had a problem with someone calling me influencer, and I'm like, you know, a term that is also a very disgusting
Yeah.
disease.
Almost an insult.
Yeah, it's almost an insult. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm influencing. Sure, I'm influencing someone, whatever. I just hope people start eating healthier, and I encourage everyone to go see slaughterhouses.
Yeah.
Very difficult, by the way,
Yes.
because not many people will let you in. Why
And
not? But I tell you, just go close.
yeah,
Just go close.
you smell it.
You smell like it. Sometimes when I drive through the US, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is that smell? And then you look outside and you know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not just like it smells a little bit bad. It's like,
Yeah.
as if someone puked in your mouth.
Oh, and that is nothing compared to what happens when you go inside farms. So I've been inside many farms, pig farms, chicken farms, cow farms. Pig farms, you have to just throw away your clothes later because that stench will stay on you forever. It's absolutely disgusting. And you don't only smell it with slaughterhouses, you can hear it as well in pig slaughterhouses. You know, pigs scream in a way
Yeah,
that
it's a horrible sound,
stays
man.
in your head for
Yeah.
years. You know, until now, when I hear a child screaming from far, I immediately kind of remember how pigs scream because they're so similar in the way that they scream. So yeah, most slaughterhouses and farms don't let you in for a very good reason. You know, if we saw what we're making these animals go through, so I filmed and taken photos inside slaughterhouses of, you know, I filmed slaughter of sheep, cows, chicken, base pigs, ducks. These animals are just there wondering, like, okay, I can't say what they're wondering word by word, but you can see that they're very confused, like, why is this happening to them? And it's very obvious that they want to get away from that because they can feel what's gonna happen. They can see what's happening, what's happened to the previous ones. They can smell the blood, they can see the blood, and all of that for a sandwich. And I'm like, how can we ever justify this? You know?
Over 50% of you don't get enough vitamin D, which has severe consequences for your mental health, for your bone health, and it's just one of the most simple interventions, one of the most simple supplements that you can take that will increase your mood, your immune system, and it's just a no-brainer. Over 80% of you have suboptimal levels of omega-3, which is one of the easiest ways or easiest things that you can fix to improve your brain and your heart health. That's why I take those supplements on a daily basis, and that is why I partnered up with Watson Nutrition. It is a supplement company that tests all of their products by a third party for heavy metals, for toxins, for PCBs. The supplement industry is a very toxic and horrible industry. I can tell you from experience, I've worked in that industry for years and years and years. And so if you pick a supplement, pick one that is testing for those things that I just mentioned. If you live in Europe, if you live in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, like many of you, and you are looking for a great supplement company, I can highly recommend Watson Nutrition. And with the code Axel, you get 5% off. Those are the supplements that I consume. Those are the supplements that I recommend to my friends, to my family. And so you're part of my family. With the code Axel, you can save 5%. And now let's continue the episode. Would you say it's better to someone, if there is someone like Joe Rogan, I don't know, okay, I don't know if that man will go vegan in this lifetime. It would be a big surprise, not just to me but to the whole world. Okay, if I understand his position correctly, he says, well, first of all, he's very anti-vegan and anti-plant-based, except during the conversation that he had with
the game changer,
James. His second name is Wilkes, something like this. I might be
James Wilkes.
James Wilkes.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Yeah. That was an epic conversation.
Oh, so good.
Amazing podcast.
Yeah.
And also Joe did a great job as an interviewer. Moderating it, not being biased. And then 2 episodes later, he was again like,
bashing.
I'm like, Joe, do you have time? Like, what's with your memory? Like, you don't remember, like, just a week ago, that conversation, you know, you agreed with many of those points. I know anyways, that boiled my,
see, you're an activist.
No, I'm just like, yeah, maybe I am.
Protesting outside Joe's house.
Joe's house. Joe, eat more plants. I also think, here's what I'm going to say to everybody who has a podcast, who has a personal brand, who has influence, and who's teaching about those things. I think we just need to understand that we have an impact.
Yeah.
Right? You can call that activism, apparently. And I'm critical then with those kind of things. Also, when all of this, whether it's food related, like promoting a carnivore diet, which is not good for your health.
Yeah.
It's that, like, a carnivore diet is dangerous.
Yeah. Objectively.
Objectively, it's dangerous. Like, for a human being, I don't even know how there is a discussion about that. Like, what happens? A human being needs fiber.
Yeah.
There's no fiber in animal products. So if you do that for a long amount of time, you run into trouble. Every single nutritionist who has somewhat of a brain that is still functioning, no, that is not difficult. It's like, if you don't eat vitamin C, you get in trouble, right? Yeah. We know that, you know? Basics. And it's the same thing with fiber. If you don't eat fiber, you get into trouble. Yeah. So at some point, the carnivore community, I'm not against carnivores, you know? I'm just like, it hurts me if someone is hurting their health. Yeah. Consciously, and if someone is, that's where I get where my blood is starting to boil. If someone with such a big influence is then promoting something that is just not good for human beings, like, that makes me incredibly.
And that's what Joe does sometimes.
Yeah. And they also politically, when they did the whole like endorsing Trump thing, same thing. I think we need to think a bit further than this, and I think that's a responsibility we all have. You have woken the activist in me. Yeah. Anyways, what I wanted to explore the thought, if I understand his standing correctly, his opinion correctly, he says, well, I don't buy any meat from slaughterhouses, right? I go hunt, and then I kill one deer and I eat this deer for a couple of months. What is your point of view? Is that better? Would you prefer a world where everyone is doing that? If that would mean then there are no slaughterhouses anymore.
Yeah. So, good question. I think we fall into this fallacy. It's a logical fallacy where you think there's only 2 options and you're wondering which one is better. And I can tell you, for example, the example you gave is not better, it's less bad. When you say better, it means it's something positive. But as long as you're killing someone, you can't really extract the conclusion of positive out of that, because someone just lost their life. Mm-hmm. And so the logical fallacy comes in when we think about it as 2 options. Option 1, factory farms and slaughterhouses. Option 2, hunting in the wild. But there's option 3, which is neither. Just eating a plant-based diet, or just eating plants in general. So when we can talk about that hypothetically, which one is better, of course, I would say it's better not to have like 90 billion animals in farms and slaughterhouses. It's better not to kill 2.7 trillion fish in the ocean, which comes down to 84,000 fish per second. It's less bad to do the second option than the first option. But we shouldn't forget that there's a third option. So yeah, Joe can talk about it as if the option is between just factory farms and deer hunting. But we all know that there's a very objectively doable, better for the economy, better for the environment, better for the health, and most importantly, better for the animals situation, which is an actual plant-based food system that's supported by the government. It costs much less money because they don't have to subsidize the billions of dollars that they need to give out to this industry that can basically bring an animal into existence, such as a cow, breed them, get them up to the age of slaughter, and then give them all that food. 51% of the crops of the world are now fed to animals that then we kill to get a very like small percentage of our calories, only for a burger to cost like $5. Well, that's because a lot of the tax money is going to subsidize this industry. So when you have a plant-based food system, it's much better for the economy for that reason. It's much better for the economy because of all the health issues that go away by eating a plant-based diet. And of course, I do want to say here, when we talk about plant-based diets, I don't want you to immediately think about Beyond Burgers, vegan hot dogs, vegan cheese. Those are things that were created specifically for a very small part of the world, a few countries around the world where their cultural diet was previously, let's say, burgers and hot dogs and other things. The majority of the world doesn't eat that way. You know, you go to Lebanon, you can go to a lot of vegan restaurants. Yes, you can have a vegan burger and this and that, but majority of our vegan dishes in Lebanon are just Lebanese dishes, you know? So it would be better for the environment. It would be better for the healthcare system. It would be better for the animals, and it would be better for the economy overall.
So would it be what does the word ethical mean by definition?
I think we all have a specific understanding of what like ethical is, but in this case, we're talking about making ethical choices in the sense of you're given two options. One of them causes an animal to be bred and exploited and killed, and then the other one doesn't. So it can be any situation. It doesn't have to be a food thing. It can be something as a painkiller. I give you two painkillers and I say the first one was tested on a rabbit in this horrible way and the other one was not. You know, we all know that the most ethical thing to do is choose the second one, right? It's as simple as that. And I do think that almost everyone out there really, really deep down agrees with animal rights. They're just not aware of it. Animal rights is not like some modern trend. It's not a new philosophy. It's not a new movement. It has existed for thousands of years. I can go back to, for example, a very famous one in the Middle East is a Syrian poet. His name was Abu Ala al-Ma'arri. He was from the town of Ma'arri in Syria. This man was blind. He lived an ascetic life. He refused all luxuries. And he completely and extremely unapologetically refused using any animal products because of an ethical stance that he had against it. And so 1,000 years ago, this man chose to only wear wooden sandals instead of leather sandals because he was against using leather. And he wrote a beautiful poem that I'll send you later. It's called Why I No Longer Steal from Nature. It's really beautiful. So he used to actually get into debates about animal rights. We're talking about around 1,000 years ago. And they had even considered assassinating this man at the time. But then they didn't because they thought we might give him more fame and more people will look into his philosophy. So let's not do it. That's a whole other story, but all I want to say is that this is not a new movement. And the reason why I say most people agree with animal rights is because most people agree with human rights. So, a very simple question. You agree with human rights, right? You believe that all humans should have the same basic moral rights. Does that mean that you think all humans are exactly the same in terms of, creativity, IQ levels?
No.
No, right? But the thing is, those things are morally irrelevant. How creative you are, your IQ level, your eye color, your hair type, your skin color. We don't think all humans are the same just because we claim all humans deserve the same rights. We believe we all deserve the same rights despite the differences because we acknowledge that these differences are morally irrelevant, as in these differences cannot be used to give you like a moral higher ground to give you more rights. The exact same philosophy can be extended to animals. And it's the same philosophy as animal rights, basically. Other animals are not like us. We are so different in IQ levels. We are so different in communication styles. And I don't mean that we are better. You know, some animals communicate underwater from kilometers away. We could never do that with our bodies. We're not that advanced. Some animals can do things that we can never do. And
Fuck, one of my it's a little off topic, but I need to share that fact with you. Do you know honey badgers?
honey badgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about them?
Poisonous snakes can bite honey badgers.
Okay.
The honey badger goes to sleep for a couple minutes. Once he wakes, or the honey badger wakes up again, it's completely fine. Yeah, it's wild. Honey badgers, ladies and gentlemen, look it up. They are insane animals. Like,
They just
it's wild.
sleep.
They just go to sleep, wake up, and they're completely fine. Honey badgers are not afraid of lions. They sometimes chase lions. Like, they fight with lions. There are pictures online. You'll see some right here above my face. Honey badgers, they're like tiny, but you don't want to mess with them.
Okay,
Honey badgers are
I didn't know that.
insane.
Okay, so
But anyways,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we are just so different from other animals. In some ways, we are more advanced. In other ways, they are more advanced. But the ways that the differences that we have are not morally relevant differences, right? So therefore, we cannot claim that they don't deserve these rights. And the best way to check whether or not what I'm saying makes sense is a very known, let's say, like question in the world of philosophy to test any ethical consistency. And the way it works is I tell you, what is the trait that an animal has, let's say a cow or a pig, like some trait about them, physiological, physical, mental, whatever, that we don't have, that if you were to take from them and apply it to a human, it would be fine to do the same thing to a human. Is there any specific trait, right? Now, long story short, no one has been able to come up with one. But I'll give you some examples that people have given. People can say, well, they can't communicate with us. That's the trait. They're like, okay, let's take that trait, put it onto a human. You meet someone who can't communicate with you, whether it's because of cultural reasons or physical disabilities or mental cognitive disabilities. Does that mean now you have the right to treat this human the way we treat pigs or cows? No. Okay, so then that's not a morally relevant trait. People can name whatever they want. All I encourage people to do is whatever trait it is that you think makes it okay to treat this animal this way, single out that trait, in a hypothetical example, apply it on a human you know, and ask yourself, or a human you don't know, and ask yourself, would you now be okay with this human being treated the way we treat other animals because of this trait? And see if they can get to an answer. Most likely, no one's gonna be able to find a morally relevant trait. I've given this question in countless universities in Europe, in US, Canada, in Harvard, and the best universities, and not a single person was able to give me an answer. Not because I came up with it. I'm not trying to take credit. I just mean this is how important this question is, because if we can't answer this question, this means we all actually do believe that based on our current understanding of ethics and human rights, then these animals also deserve to have the freedom and their life that the way that we have. So this
What
is,
do you think is the best argument against veganism?
I would love to find it, because the first time I went vegan,
What do you mean the first time? Were there multiple times?
no, as in I was vegetarian first.
Okay.
And then when I went vegan, I wasn't happy about the fact that I was about to go vegan, because I was vegetarian already for 8 years. And then I found out about what we do to animals in all of the industries. And I understood the concept of speciesism. And speciesism is basically similar to racism. It's a discrimination method that we use in order to discriminate against animals based on their species. So when I learned about this, my first reaction was, oh, I have to go vegan? I thought vegetarian was enough, right? And I really wanted to find an argument, and I couldn't. It's been 12 years now. I've given so many lectures on animal rights and ethics, and I have to say in as humble as I would like to be in what I'm about to say, I know it sounds maybe a bit showing off, but I don't mean to. I've never given a lecture and had a difficulty in being able to answer someone who was against the notion of animal rights. And the reason why I say I want to be humble in saying this is because I don't take credit for it. This is not my ideology. It's not my movement. It's not something I came up with. Animal rights is a simple notion that we believe in on the basis of human rights, but we're just not applying to other species because for some reason that we can't point at, we don't know what the specific trait is, we are not applying what we believe in on other animals. So when it comes to, what is the best arguments against animal rights? I would say whatever the best argument is against animal rights is also the best argument against human rights.
So you say animal rights equals like, because I asked against veganism, but at the end of the day, it's all about
So
animal rights for you.
veganism is something. So a vegan is a person who is not consuming or partaking as far as practically possible in animal exploitation, right? They're not consuming animal products as in food. Consciously, they're not wearing them. They're trying their best not to use any medicine that is not tested, that is tested on animals. So you do that when you realize, like that's a side effect of believing in animal rights, right? Like first you have to accept like, oh, what we're doing is wrong because this is unethical based on this. Therefore, I should now, like, you don't have to call yourself a vegan, but therefore now I should do this thing, which requires to be consistent with your beliefs. You would stop contributing to it, right? So if someone cares about, I don't know, any specific cause, and then they find out that something they're doing every day contributes to that cause, they would assume, of course, that based on my current beliefs, I should not be doing this thing. So veganism itself is not really the beginning of the movement. It's just an aspect. It's just something you practice. If you want to call it veganism, you can call it whatever you want. It's just something, it's an action you take or decide not to take based on realizing, I don't think we have the right to do this to other animals. I personally stopped using the word vegan, not like in a very hardcore way, but I've realized people are much more open to having this conversation with me. If they ask me like, what do you work in? I don't say, oh, I try to spread veganism. I just say I work on spreading awareness on animal rights. And then usually most of the time the question is, what do you like, what kind of rights, what kind of animals are you talking about? Then I say, well, actually it's about all animals and how we view them and as commodities in our current legal system. And here are the reasons why the animal rights movement rejects this label of commodity. And if I can jump back, like, I don't know how long it's been now, maybe 45 minutes. If I can jump back to tell you a funny story, I found a small paragraph from a booklet called On Abstinence from Animal Foods, I believe. It was written by a philosopher whose name was Porphyry, who was from the town of Tyre in Arabic. It's called Sur, in English, Tyre. It's a beautiful town in the south of Lebanon, one of the oldest inhabited towns since then, thousands of years. He wrote a letter to his friend because he was against eating animals. He wrote this letter to his friend who had now started eating meat again. So this idea of people going back to eating animal products, when I started reading, I was like, no way. This is like the comments that people now leave on Instagram on a post of someone saying I started eating meat. It's exactly the same version, but thousands of years ago. And he's like, I have now come to the realization that you have started consuming animal flesh again. Surely it's not because you think you needed to be stronger. Like, really, he's bashing his friend for eating animals again. And I was like, oh man. And now we think that this is new. Like, this has been happening for thousands of years, So We have to remember that whenever a movement starts and takes a bit of momentum, a lot of people can join that movement, but maybe like a certain percentage of those people are not going to stick around. That's completely fine. And this happens with all movements. But yeah, I remember this story, but I wanted to jump back to tell you about it. It's a really funny letter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it evolves in my life, and maybe next time when I start the podcast, it's gonna be, hi, I'm Axel. I'm an activist.
No,
I'm gonna be honest. Like sometimes I also, when I go to social gatherings and someone is asking me I'm vegan, I'm like, I know what the next question will be and I know what the discussion will be about.
Yeah.
And sometimes, honey, I don't want to talk about the food and stuff like, are you vegan? Like, don't you have a better question?
And then they will start telling you, "Oh, let's stop talking about veganism." And I'm like, I didn't bring it up. You brought it up.
No, I don't even go there. I'm like,
Yeah.
I vegan. I'm like, I'm Axel. You know, that's my approach. Activists can do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
and you can go on the streets, and I will cheer you on. I will support you, and I'm like, amazing
Yeah.
that you do this.
Yeah.
But let me do my thing, and I think there are. I try to. I think what I'm really good at, and what my world is the human mind, is psychology.
Yes. Yes.
And I know human beings, they care about themselves first.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Even if you think like, oh, but there's some people who, do something for others. And that, yeah, there are people who are very philanthropic. Also, have this big giving heart.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, to fill a need that they know feels really good. The need for contribution.
Surveys have shown that the number one reasons people switch to plant-based diets is for health reasons.
For health, yeah,
that's a fact.
For health reasons,
for themselves.
But, for themselves, we always like, even if we do something good for someone else,
yeah,
it's deep down because it feels really good to us. No, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so I am approaching it from this perspective. Like, I want to combine both, and for people to understand the benefits.
Yeah.
For themselves and for others. But if it's not benefiting you, then I don't think you're going to stick to it for a very long time. So my whole spiel is to inspire people taking care of themselves, eating really good, high quality food, and then automatically they will make better choices, and they will perhaps not eat bacon anymore, or like my father, that made me so happy. I cannot tell you, like it did something to my brain when I saw that, and I never had a conversation with him about it. Just by me doing this, and they are so against it.
Yeah.
They are so against it. They make comments every single time I go there. Like the whole family makes except my siblings who make similar food choices to mine. Everybody makes comments, but I don't react. I don't say. I don't. I just don't.
Well,
and the point that I'm making is, they started eating more vegan food.
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't show anything. I'm like,
I'll give you an example of how different approaches sometimes work and sometimes don't. I think it was 10 years ago. I had just watched a horrible video from a dairy farm where the baby calf was taken away and the mom was crying and all of that. And then shortly after, in the family group, my sister sent a photo of the fridge because my brother had just gone grocery shopping and he just filled up the fridge, for the family. And I saw a block of cheese in it. And I was feeling very emotional because of the video I had just watched. And I got pissed and I left from the WhatsApp group chat of the family. Now, my other sister messaged me. She's like, why did you leave the group? And I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, you're doing, like, I don't want to normalize what you're doing to animals and this and that. And then she's like, can you just please, like, stop doing this? Like, mom is already worried. She's crying, blah, blah, blah. Because our family, we're very tight, like, we don't really have problems or fights. And my reaction, I can't believe I said this. I told my sister, well, tell mom cows in dairy farms cry more than she's crying now when their babies are taken away. Is it true? Yes. Is it the most intelligent and effective thing to tell someone? No. No.
Mm.
Needless to say, that did not make my mom go vegan. For years, I tried to get them to watch slaughterhouse footage. They would refuse to. They weren't against veganism. They just didn't care enough. Until around 7.5 or 8 years ago, I entered the slaughterhouse, a cow slaughterhouse. I filmed the slaughter of several cows, put it online, and it went viral. When it went viral, I was receiving thousands of messages. I had contacted an organization that helps people for like 3 or 4 weeks. When they start eating a plant-based diet, they give free advice and everything. And I told them, this just happened with me. I'm getting amazing feedback. A lot of people are asking me for tips on veganism. Can you please make give me a custom link that I can send so that we can track how many people are signing up? So within 2-3 days, they sent me an email. They're like, we don't know how this is happening, but 1,700 people have signed up to receive help to go vegan, thanks to through your link alone. And of course, I was very happy because, you go into a slaughterhouse and you film and you don't really feel good. So when you get an email like that, you feel better about your decision. And I took a screenshot and I sent it to the group chat. And I just wrote, I can't believe 1,700 people that I've never heard of would change their habits because of my work, but not a single one of my family members have done anything. And no one really responded to it. And I wasn't really expecting any response. It was just this random message. And then a few days later, I was talking to my sister and she was like, I have to tell you something, but you won't tell mom. And I was like, what is it? She's like, mom's gone vegan. I was like, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, she's just not telling you because she thinks she's not doing it perfectly yet. She wants to make sure she gets it and then she's going to tell you. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then a few days later, I sent her a selfie with this vegan athlete. And I said, vegan athlete in Bali. I wrote under it. And then she sent me a selfie and she wrote vegan mom in Beirut. So, yeah, you can push people for years by using the wrong approach. And then you realize one different thing that you could have done previously would have changed them. All I ask is just understand human psychology. If you are interested in doing this kind of work, understand that people use and need positive reinforcement. People need to have information. People are overwhelmed by information, because if you tell them, oh, well, it's not my work to teach you how to do it, go online. Well, they go online and then they land on a Joe Rogan video. They're not going to go vegan, So I think in general, I know my work can be heavy in terms of, the places that I enter to film and document what's happening. But at the end of the day, we do need to be positive that everyone has something good inside. And that's the thing that we should activate for them to decide, yeah, I think it's time to change. And that change can be very fast and good and can be slower, but just make sure you don't attack them if it's slower. Just encourage them throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. If you want to influence people, you need to find out what already influences them.
Yeah, that's actually.
And do it only with good things. But really, if you want to, especially, no, almost everybody, find out what influences them already. Because what influenced your mom was perhaps this, she sounds like she's someone who's very family oriented.
Yeah, yeah.
And as soon as you said, well, they're doing it by my own family, it's like, oh, okay, well, that goes against my values.
Yeah.
So let me at least try.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Also, there are so many, you mentioned athletes. There are athletes most people know, but most people don't know that they eat a plant-based diet. I don't know if they are fully vegan. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but plant-based means you are consuming the majority of your calories from plant-based foods.
Yeah.
but there can be a percentage.
Yeah. I don't know what's like the official definition. It's weird because we don't know where to look for the official definition. I tend to use plant-based and vegan as the
That's the
same
same.
thing, but if I want to say majority plants, I use the term plant dominant
Okay.
or plant forward, let's
Okay.
say. But
Yeah, I
yes,
think
yeah,
if you go to Wikipedia, you will
yeah,
find the definition
yeah.
I just mentioned. I'm German.
This is what it says.
This is what it says. Dictionary says this, so it is. Yeah, but the point being, there are so many incredible athletes who are plant-based or vegan that we know of, and then there are also many that we don't know of that show that you can perform on a really, really high level.
Yeah.
And whenever I share that, that works really well for
Yes.
people.
Yes.
You know, like especially if you are a fan of a sport and you have that role model, and you're like,
Yes.
wow,
He's or he eats.
oh,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
eats like in tennis. You have Novak Djokovic.
Yes.
Again, I don't know. I think he's plant-based. I don't know if a percentage of his diet is.
I've
I don't
seen
know.
one interview where he says he eats plant-based, but again, we
Yeah.
don't know what he means exactly.
Yeah.
To be extremely honest, I have heard that he does or he has eaten fish a few years ago. It doesn't mean that he still does
Yeah.
it now, but I just want to say that at the level that he is, we can clearly see, and he's admitting that he's plant-based. Maybe he means plant predominant or whatever, but we can clearly see his athleticism thanks
Yeah,
to
it's
the
wild.
plants.
Yeah, 100%. And he's what he does in his age in tennis, it's like almost outrageous.
Yeah.
He's still performing at like, I think he's number
level.
7 in the world.
How old is he now?
He must be. We'll have to fact check that, but I think he's approaching 40. I think he's 39, but I'm not gonna. Please fact check me on this, on everything we're saying. But he is, for tennis, very old, because tennis is. It's one thing to play one match really good.
Oh yeah.
Right? A tournament, people don't understand how much strain this is on your body, like playing matches and matches and matches. And sometimes those matches can be 4.5 hours, 5 hours, you know? And then 2 days later, you're playing again. That's like, it's hell. And then it's just one tournament. And then you have a tournament, and then you travel, you have jet lag. It's insane. And there are a few, but there.
Well, the thing is, sometimes people try to say, well, they're just exceptions. But then it's like, yeah, but they're exceptions in the top 0.1% of the world-class athletes.
Yeah, I mean, Djokovic, by numbers, is the greatest of all time.
Well, there you go.
And I think that is like, okay, he's an exception, but he's so exceptionally good.
Exactly.
So I would say, as an athlete, anybody who takes sports seriously, like, you know, not eating plants or majority of plants is almost like it's going to be against performance. So
I've never seen a world-class athlete say that they're on a carnivore diet.
Very rarely. Very rarely. There must be a chess player or something. We don't move. No, chess players need to think.
Yeah, that's
true. And then there's obviously Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, Formula 1
greatest
driver.
of all time in terms of numbers when it comes to Formula 1. And what people also don't understand is they think they're just driving cars.
No.
Oh my goodness. Please go watch this video of a normal person going into an F1 car, because there are also 2-seaters. So sometimes they take all the F1 cars and they make them 2-seaters.
Okay.
Their neck just like completely collapses. F1 athletes, there are some of the most insane athletes.
And there was something about how hard they have to push for the brake.
Also, but it's the G-forces.
I can't imagine.
You cannot imagine. Or if you just listen to the drivers, how they are breathing, you hear that. It's insane without the commentary on television. Just the driver's cam, and now they also start recording the noise. They're breathing heavily. It's exhausting. Some races they lose 4 kilograms of water in Singapore. Yeah, just to give you an idea, it's an insane sport. And if you can be the greatest of all time I think he even says he's vegan.
I think he does.
I think he does. you know, then some people will argue, well, can you support that sport and be vegan? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing that I wanted to mention, I'm not discouraging anybody to you know, follow the vegan movement diet. I encourage everyone to face facts and truths and then make decisions.
Yeah.
If we can have this conversation and now, no, just look at where your food is coming from. See how you feel.
Yeah. Simple.
Just simple as that. I think the rest is almost like a byproduct. And I want, I'm doing this podcast and I do all of my work for us to like evolve as human beings. I am not perfect. I tell every vegan activist, I'm like, when I see it, I'm like, I think you should be a bit more careful. Because if you call other people out, one day someone will call you out.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I don't care which vegan activist, I come to you in your home, I'll find something. It's like,
I'll find something.
I'll find something. You know, I could find something in your life. I have 1,000 mistakes I do every single day and things you could criticize me for. Flying. Earlier we were sitting in a restaurant. I was like, this is kind of funny. We have exactly a situation like this. So I was ordering a smoothie bowl, and you were saying like, oh, the granola is here's with honey. I usually try to avoid granola anyways, because often it's very sugary and very sweet. And then I told the waiter without granola, or I wasn't even like, remember, did I say? Because we had such an entertaining conversation. So I thought I said without granola, but then I get the smoothie bowl with the granola.
Yeah.
By my friend's definition of an anal vegan, the anal vegan would say, I don't eat this.
Yeah.
And I used to be like this. I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, ethically thinking, if I return that bowl now, what will they do with it?
Yeah.
Very likely they will throw it out, right?
Yeah, very likely.
Very likely.
Unless if someone immediately orders the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very unlikely.
Yes.
So very likely event that you guys will throw this out. So then me eating this will not change anything. You know, like I think in terms of ethics, there is nothing I can, nothing anybody can say. Like it already happened. So I'm not 100% sure where I'm going with this. It's multiple points, but from a good place. I just wish this whole vegan movement to be a bit more nicer, a bit more gentle on yourself and also others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, if I may, I would
challenge me.
Yes.
Challenge me. I love to be challenged.
Not as a challenge, because I know, like, I want to be realistic with how comfortable people can get with things. When I have something like this happen, there's a few things that I think is very helpful. One, notify them. Like if you say, for example, well, I'm gonna eat it anyway, that's one thing, right? That's the first option. Second option is you eat it, but you tell them, you say, listen, it's fine this time, but I just want to let you know that I actually asked you without granola. If you're sure you did, because we couldn't remember if you did.
Yeah, we couldn't remember.
But let's say you knew for a fact, right? The third thing, which is another option, is also say like, hey, I actually asked without granola. Do you mind removing it for me? And this could be maybe, let's say, especially the case if someone has a certain type of allergy. With honey, it's not that common, but let's assume that the granola had a certain amount of milk and they have a lactose allergy. And then the other option is to say, hey, I can't have this because I asked you without honey. Can you please get me another one? Now, I usually go with the last one, because I treat honey as any other animal product. So I do this even if, let's say I received a latte that I ordered with oat milk and I got cow milk. There's no way I'm drinking that. I also don't like paying for it, right? So it's like double negative for me, because not only do I not drink it, I've also paid for it, which is the last thing I want as someone who is against it. The reason why I don't think it's a massive issue, and I'll go into the details, is because when it's sent back, it goes back as, let's say, a loss on the restaurant because you don't pay for it twice. And it triggers an internal discussion about the importance of being careful on what
Interesting
vegans
point.
are ordering. Now, I do want to say there's ways of communicating. If you go like, excuse me, I told you without it, you know, then you are not making anyone's life easier. If you are nice about it, they are much more likely to make sure this never happens again, you know? So if you go up and say, I hate to do this, I'm really sorry, but I did ask you without granola. I can't eat this. Can I please get another one? Most restaurants apologize and they give you another one. But then internally, they're going to have a discussion like, hey, we messed up on this. And that leads to better customer service. So it's better for the restaurant as well, and better customer service for people who might have allergies, which could be affected in similar mistakes. I think for me, the most important part is how you communicate with people. You know, rather, it's more about the how than the what you're doing. If you do the horrible way, then I would be embarrassed of you, not be like, yo, that's just not how you talk to people, you know? That's my way.
Yeah,
That's
no,
my way.
I'm the last point I found it really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Like that's something I also didn't think about, the fact that if you give it back, that it will trigger something in internally. It's like such a deep topic that you could also, because for me it would be also a difference whether it is also a food that affects my health negatively. I would be less calm about it. Like for example, if it would have been meat, I would have said I cannot eat it. If it would be dairy, I'm not severely allergic, but fuck, I have this one. Do we still have time for the story? They didn't kick us out yet. Okay. So here's the thing. You can criticize me for it or not. I was at a retreat. Okay. I was at this training that I did to become a better space holder. I'm there with like 70 therapists, beautiful mountain, Italy. And it's mostly vegan vegetarian. You know, it's Italian kitchen. So there is some like cheese and stuff. But I think it was vegan vegetarian. I don't think there's meat served. But anyways, very vegan friendly, like a lot of plant-based foods. Not because, anyways. So it was already the 5th day or 6th day. I had a really a lot of emotions, like people screaming and like all. You learn how to when like in the morning starts with dynamic meditation, 70 people screaming and like all of it, you know. So many emotions. So I'm just like having dinner, putting things on my plate, and I see rice. I'm like, I put a ton of rice on my thing, and I sit down, beautiful view. I start eating, like, this rice is so delicious. Jesus Christ. Next to me is an Italian. She's like, yeah, of course, it's risotto. And I'm like, okay. I wonder, like, it's so good. Like, I haven't tasted that in a long, long time. She's like, yeah, I mean, it's cheese. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, what will happen now? I made a mistake. I screwed up. They say they have science for everything. I made a mistake. So I'm like, okay, if I give it back, they throw it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, might as well, because I really don't like wasting food. So I ate the whole thing. The next day I wake up, and that was me. I don't know when I consciously consumed dairy the last time, like ages ago. As a teenager, I had to stop because I had severe acne. Yeah. And then I stopped because I read it online somewhere that if you stop,
it helps.
It helps. And mine disappeared. And as someone, if you know what it's like to have skin issues, you do a lot of crazy things to not have skin issues. And the next day, of course, I was breaking out, and I developed a massive pimple on my throat. Okay. Like, it wasn't almost not a pimple. It might have been something bigger than that. But anyway, I touched it. It got infected and really bad. A week later, I was in a hospital. Yeah.
Was this recent?
Joking. No, it's a couple of years ago. Maybe 2022 or something. A couple of years ago. I was like, Jesus. So yeah, there's a difference for me also. Like, it's a complex topic. I would say, and at the end of the day, I wanna also keep it simple for people. And I think what we both can agree on is, hey, the majority of the time, it's for most amount of people, it's a good piece of advice to eat whole food, plant-based foods.
Yes.
Like that if we can already get there, I think that would be already a massive improvement. You know, like if the
Definitely.
whole US, for example, would start eating
Oh my God,
whole
don't
food
get me
plant-based diet instead of whatever they call diet there, or also in where I'm from in Germany, like that would be already a massive win.
Yeah.
And then there are so many things that we can improve, that I can improve. Like I'm full of
course,
mistakes.
yeah. There's a
but
really good website called nutritionfacts.org for anyone who's like interested. I think they even have an application, if I'm not mistaken. You could download and you get all the help for free to make these switches. The website in general promotes whole foods plant-based diet. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So people can check that out as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's finish this. You
Yeah.
want to say some?
I wanted to ask to finish if I can read that poem that I told you about from the Syrian
100%. And
Yeah.
what I want to do at the end is support that friend that you
Yes.
mentioned.
Qasim, yes. Qasim.
Qasim, sorry, Qasim.
Yes.
Qasim, we will. If you need to get it. But I want to put Qasim's. There's for sure a link where we can donate, where we can support. Go check him out. Support his work. I'll put it in the description below, because I think it's really important.
Okay, so it's called I No Longer Steal from Nature. You are diseased in understanding and religion. Come to me that you may hear something of sound truth. Do not unjustly eat fish the water has given up, and do not desire as food the flesh of slaughtered animals, or the white milk of mothers who intended its pure draught for their young, not noble ladies. And do not grieve the unsuspecting birds by taking eggs, for injustice is the worst of crimes. And spare the honey which the bees get industriously from the flowers of fragrant plants, for they did not store it that it might belong to others, nor did they gather it for bounty and gifts. I wash my hands of all this and wish that I pursued my way before my hair went gray. Beautiful, no?
Beautiful.
Because he changed late in his life. So he's like, I wish I did it before I got old. So yeah.
Sweet.
Seb, never too late to change.
Never too late to change. That's for sure.
Yes.
Seb, thank you so much for your beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
For everything you do. There's so many things we could continue talking on. One specific cause that we can support at the moment, something that's close to your heart?
I mean, if you can support the people in Lebanon helping out the animals in these areas,
100%. We'll put that into the description below. This podcast is free. So instead of you paying for all the knowledge that you get here, go support those kind of causes. So I put the link in the description below. Okay. Everybody go support, donate, instead of buying an $8 schmatcha today, or frappuccino, or even worse than that, an $11 Big Mac. Do something good for the world. Yeah.
Much better.
Seb, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm on a mission to make this podcast the most valuable podcast on planet Earth. In order to achieve that, I need your help. You can do two very simple things to help us on this mission. Number one, to subscribe to the show. This gives us access to the brightest, smartest minds on planet Earth. Number two, leave a review for this podcast. Takes, a good 3 seconds to do it on Spotify. Helps us so much. So make sure that you're subscribed to the show. Make sure that you leave a review. And I will make sure that I do my very best to give you the most valuable content possible.